Metro Detroit is one of the best markets to invest in the country, and I've got proof. Let's get into it. Hey, what's going on, guys? Derek here from M1 Realty. I'm the broker owner, founder of the company. Started in 2014, just myself and a laptop up on the third floor of an office building here in Ferndale, Michigan. Fast forward to today, we've got a storefront right at the corner of 9 and Woodward. We're the #1 real estate company in the city of Ferndale, and I've got an all-star team of agents. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, invest, rent, whatever you need, we've got you covered. We even do property management now. So I know a lot of these videos on this channel revolve around investing and why this is such a good market to invest in, but I just want to reinforce that since over the weekend I actually took my twins down to the Cincinnati area for their birthday celebration. Happy birthday, boys. And part of that, I'm a real estate nerd. I can't even help myself. So while I'm down there, of course, I'm like researching the market, looking at houses, seeing what's affordable, what isn't. And, being like Southern Ohio has the advantage of, I can check out the markets in two different states because it's right on the border with Kentucky. So I was looking at homes in Newport, Kentucky and in Mason, Ohio, which is where we're staying. Mason being like a northern suburb of Cincinnati. So, I just want to talk about that real quick, just to compare to what we have here in the Detroit market. And obviously, I want to preface this with, the just flat out saying I'm not an expert in either one of those markets. I've spent a considerable amount of time in northern Kentucky, greater Cincinnati area, but I'm not like super dialed in on the nitty gritty, like the best places to invest there. But just from the cities that I was spending time in over the past few days, just want to kind of highlight what the market looks like there compared to here as far from an investment standpoint. So we'll start with Mason. It seems like it's a little bit maybe more of an upscale area. I was just looking simple 3-bedroom, roughly 1,000 square foot homes. What are they going for? And I found one that was 3-bed, 2-bath. It's only 960 square feet. And the asking price on that is $285,000. So then the question is, if you buy a house like that, what does it rent for? Because if it's renting for, $3,000 a month or $3,500 or something like that, makes sense. Obviously even less than that, it makes sense as a rental property. But I wasn't able to find something exactly the same square footage. But as far as like homes that are renting in the area or up for rent anyway, I was able to find another 3-bed, 2-bath home. This one is 1,248 square feet, but they're only asking $2,000 a month rent for that, and that was on the super low end too. I should say both of those properties are on the low end of what you're going to get on the market right now in Mason, Ohio. And obviously, from a cash flow standpoint, if you're paying $285 for a house, you're going to want a cash flow more than a $2,000 a month gross rent. So, that to me doesn't seem like a super favorable market to be investing in. And that was the lowest single family home in that city that I could find to use, for in this video. So, and again, like I said, I'm sure there's other parts of Cincinnati where it's just overall better maybe city to invest in, or maybe parts of Cincinnati itself are the spot to be in for investment properties. One thing I did notice, like the closer you get into like the main city, it seems like it's a little bit older than Detroit. Like a lot of the houses are well over 100 years old, whereas in Detroit, like a lot of it was, don't get me wrong, we've got some really old homes. I think Corktown was established in like 1830. But generally speaking, the areas where we focus on in the city of Detroit from an investment standpoint, you're going to be looking, usually like early 40s through the mid 60s is when a lot of those houses were built. So more modern standard, superior construction. Like for my money, anything built from the mid 40s to the mid 60s in our neck of the woods is about as well of a constructed home as you could ever expect or want to have. Those homes were, built by craftsmen on site. Everything was cut cut to fit for that house. Everything was custom made. So nowadays they'll, build trusses and stuff and rafters and what have you in North Carolina, truck them up here, and that's what you get. But I guess back to my point is, you're getting a house. Older homes have old house problems. My house was built in the 20s. I'll be the first one to admit that. So, as a landlord, old house problems are probably not high on your list of things that you want to deal with. So, getting a home that's newer, built more modern, built really, really solid is definitely a plus. So then we spent a little bit of time across the river in Newport as well, and that's again a city that I'm very familiar with. We've stayed there numerous times. So I just wanted to look at that as well because we got an example of what you can get in Ohio. Let's talk about what you can get in Kentucky. Not a whole lot different actually from the homes in Mason. And I will say, Newport and Covington, they're two cities that are right next to each other, right on the Ohio River, right across the river from Cincinnati. There are some lower end parts of town there. So I was kind of looking for an example of a move-in ready home. I mean, you can get something for cheaper, but it's going to require some work. And same deal. These are like older houses that we're looking at. I'm thinking, some of these are built in like the 1860s, 70s, 80s. So they're a little bit older than what you're going to get for the most part in most parts of Detroit. But I was kind of looking for something that is move-in ready and in a maybe not like the nicest part of town, but just kind of on average, just an average part of town essentially. So I was in Newport able to find also a 3-bed 2-bath home that's 1,344 square feet. And that one was on the market for $265,000. It's only been on the market 7 days. And the rental market there is either really strong or really soft because there weren't very many rentals. So the closest one to that I was even able to find was a 3-bed, 2.5 bath that's actually larger. It's 1,964 square feet. So it's almost 2,000 square feet. That one's renting for $2,200 a month. So it's again, you would hope for something that size, and if you're paying roughly that much money for a home like that, you're going to want to rent it for substantially more than what you can get in Newport, Kentucky. And then just to compare it to our market here, now obviously if you watch this channel, you know where my target markets are for rental properties here. Hazel Park, Oak Park, Madison Heights, and the Woodward Corridor. I like Wyandotte. I like Ypsilanti. I'm getting more and more enthralled with the Downriver area as well. Southgate's a pretty solid city for rentals. That's right next to Wyandotte. But Dearborn Heights, Westland, those are pretty decent areas too. I like the Woodward Corridor area a little better, just because number one, I know it like the back of my hand. Number two, the average price per square foot for rent is a little bit higher. So when you're looking at rental properties, like every dollar counts. It's all about cash flow and all about the cap rate. So we want to make sure we're maximizing those, and for that reason I like the Hazel Park, Madison Heights area, and Oak Park as well. But for the purpose of this video, since the houses that we are using as comparisons, the ones in Ohio and ones in Kentucky, are a little bit larger and in a little bit more upscale areas and not quite as many starter homes. So for that reason, I pulled a couple examples from Royal Oak. So we're still a mile up the road from where I'm sitting right now, Royal Oak, the border with Royal Oak's about a mile away, but just a little bit higher price point. They rent for a little bit more, so the cap rate, typically speaking, is going to be about the same. But from an investment standpoint, like I like rental properties where the barrier to entry is a little bit lower. So, for example, in Royal Oak. So we got this home on North Vermont. It's been on the market 7 days. That's also it's a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,300 square foot brick bungalow, and that's on the market for $299,900, so essentially $300,000. So it's a little bit higher in price point than what we were looking at in Ohio or Kentucky, but not by much. I mean, we're talking, it's 15 grand more than the one in Ohio, and about 35 more than the one in Kentucky. In the grand scheme of things, not that much. So the most important thing is, if you're paying that much for a similar home in Royal Oak, what does it rent for? Because we're only getting $2,000 a month in Ohio. We're getting $2,200 in Kentucky for an almost 2,000 square foot house. So what's the difference between renting there and renting here? So we'll take a look at another home in Royal Oak that it was a rental that rented back in July. So it was pretty comparable to that house on Vermont that's for sale for $300,000. So let's look at this one. So this one's on Colonial, which is like northwest Royal Oak. It's a couple miles away from the house on North Vermont. Not that far. I mean, Royal Oak, for all intents and purposes, is pretty comparable anywhere in the city. And this one is also a 3-bed, 2-bath. It's 1,368 square feet, but this one rented for $2,800 a month. So compared to something, renting for $2,000 a month, that's, 1,000 square feet, or something that's renting for $2,200 a month, that's 2,000 square feet. I'd rather have the, 1,300 and, 1,400 square foot rental that's getting $2,800 a month. The cash flow potential here is just simply better than it is in those other markets. And Royal Oak is not really even one of my target markets, like I said, because the barrier to entry is like higher than I like for investment properties. I mean, it's a thriving rental market, and for some people just like to pick up a home for a little bit more money and just get a little bit more rent. For me, I'm all about the cash flow, so I'd rather have two homes for $120,000 that are each generating $1,400 a month, rather than the one, just because if you have one house that's getting $2,800 a month and the tenant moves out, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 months in the meantime to reset the house, repaint it. If you got whatever repairs you have to make, market it, get it rented back out, get the deposit, get it moved in, all that stuff. In the meantime, I'd rather have 2 houses, because if I've got one down where we're doing that, the other one is still cash flowing for you. So that's just kind of my philosophy on that. I think that's the way to go. Everybody wants a duplex for that same reason, except if you've talked to me, or I've sent you multifamily listings around here, the drill. The multifamily homes, there's so few of them in this market. I mean, Ferndale's got several. There's a bunch in Royal Oak. Hazel Park, there's a couple. But the prices on them are astronomical. It's like not even worth it a lot of times to even acquire those, because your cap rate is going to be so much lower. You can only rent them. You're going to rent a single family home for more than you'll ever rent an upper or lower flat, and then you have to pay through the nose to get them. So it's like, that's why I'm all about the single family starter home. Just get them. They're cheap. Get them moving ready, move somebody in, call it a day. So that's kind of where I'm coming from on that. But it's just really opened my eyes. I felt it was important enough to make a video about just, because you don't really think of, Cincinnati of being like some super high-end city, and it's not. I mean, but I think across the country, I suspect if I say I went to like Indianapolis, same deal. Cleveland, who knows? But anywhere like in the Midwest that's kind of comparable to the Detroit market, I think you're gonna see us have a higher. It just makes more sense to invest here than it does any of those other cities. And I think that's kind of confirmed as well. I saw some stat. It was a couple months ago maybe, but out of all the 50 top metropolitan areas in the United States, like Detroit is one of 3 where it makes more sense to buy right now than it does to rent. So that it makes sense to me. The rental rate's pretty high here, obviously for compared to what you have to pay to acquire the home. But I just thought that was kind of an interesting little tidbit, and being that I was in those markets this week, just spent a little bit of time doing what I do and just checking out houses. So Hope that helps, guys. And if there is anything I can help you with, you can always reach me at 586-491-5622. You can also reach me directly at 248-561-6155. Shoot me an email, dwerenka@m1realty.net. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Messenger, I'm on them. I respond quick. I'll take good care of you. Again, thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. And wow, we just got over 300 subscribers on this channel, which is crazy. Happy to see it, though. And I'm committed more than ever to just delivering quality content for you guys. Hopefully this helps. And like I said, if you need anything at all from me, just reach out. Happy to take care of you. And until next week, thanks so much, and have a great week, guys. Thank you.